Hi, this is Jonathan. How you guys doing? Today I'm going to review this unit from Zoom, the GN5. And I'm going to use 3 guitars through it so that you have a rough idea of how it sounds with different guitars. I'm going to use the Japan Stratocaster and a GNL Bluesboy Tele, or semi-solid, and of course the Harley Benton Fusion Pro. So stay tuned. I don't have a lot of history with the Zoom products because when they first came out with some of the small little pedals and stuff like that, I didn't quite like the sound. Zoom is a Japanese company, so when they first started coming up with all these pedals, all these sound effects, I just felt like it feels a bit toy-like and it didn't sound really good, a bit thin. So as the years went by, I went on to other effects and multi-effects and stuff like that. A couple of months ago when I was in City Music, the guys showed me some Zoom effects that they have. The GN3 and GN2, I guess, and this little pedal board called a GN5. And they were raving about it, so I didn't have much time because I was so busy with my production work as well as my rehearsal. So I really wanted to try out how does it sound like. So yesterday I went down and picked it up, and I had a go at it for a couple of hours, trying to get some patches, building patches or presets from the ground up, basically from zero. And I ended up with my usual 4 presets, the clean, the lead sound, the distortion, and the distortion solo. So here's the top view of the G5n. And I'm just going to run through you very briefly what all these knobs and switches are about. Well, let's start from the right. Here we have the volume pedal, and of course there's a toe switch which you can activate to kick in the wah-wah pedal if you so wish. So as far as foot switches go, we have 2 levels, the top and the bottom level. The bottom level is what we'll call a secondary parameters, where you can activate the tuner by just holding on the tuner, right? And then as you can see, I have a clean channel, a lead channel, and distortion channel, and a full-blown channel. Now let's go to the clean channel. Now from here, I can actually assess the various parameters or the various stomp effects that I have in this channel. So all I need to do is to press the stomp switch, and then I can actually see. You probably can't see it from where you are right now, but you know, it will show you like what I have here. And I can actually scroll to the left, you know. So what I have is a noise gate, and then a compressor, and a sort of a booster drive, and then I have the amps. And as I scroll through, I can see the cabinets that I'm using. This is a Fender basement amp that I'm using, and a Fender 212 cabinet. And as I go through, as I scroll through, if you can see from the screen, you can actually see I have a volume pedal, you know, right after the cabinet, and then I have the time delay, the delay units, and of course the reverb. Now this is on the stomp menu. So to exit, I just have to press stomp again, and I'm back to the preset channel, the preset display again. So I can actually switch sound there and then. Now the only thing that I find not very conducive is when I have the volume pedal. It doesn't matter where I put a volume pedal. I could put a volume pedal after the time delay unit or before the time delay unit, and if I were to cut off the volume, the delay and the reverb will be affected too. So that's the only gripe that I have about this thing. And of course here you have the master level, and then you have a output booster. This is really good. This is like a global parameters for, like, you know, for the Helix, almost similar. You have output booster where you can actually boost up your volume a little bit more. And this is your tone, where, you know, in some cases, if you find that what you're hearing is not bright enough, you can actually boost up a little bit, you know. Very useful. You know, I find it's very useful. And of course here is the menu. You know, as you press the menu, you can actually decide whether you want to delete any of the stomps or add any of the stomps. And if you were to, you can actually configure how you want your stomp boxes to be, you know, which comes first and which comes last. And of course this is where you can save all your patches, you know. It's really useful. And of course here you can also set up your tuner, you know, to have it tuned to 440, 441. And of course the LED display, you know, what's the contrast like. So as you can see from here, the individual effect, you can actually have all these little parameters, like, you know, this is the delay, you can have the time, you know, the feedback, the mix, and the tail end. Now if I were to adjust, say for example, the amp section, this is the Fender basement. You know, I can have the input, you know, how much gain I want to go into the amp, and then you have the EQ, right? And as you go along, you can actually see, you know, what sort of volume do you have, and then the good thing about this is on the amp section, you can have a solo switch where you can actually adjust you know, how much you want. If you kick in this, you will have a volume boost. So I can have it like a, you know, 4, you know, this depends on how high you want the volume to go up when you kick in the solo button, right? So this is really useful when you're doing a solo or something like that. You just want to boost up your volume a little bit, right? And then of course you have the parameters for the cabinets. You know, you can have the mic, you know, you can turn off or turn on the mic, and then you can have a mix of I guess this is the Shure SM57 as opposed to a D421, you know, a condenser mic, and how you can balance the mix. And then the EQ, right? Pretty defined in many sense, because it gives you a whole lot of parameters to tweak. And there are a couple of amps, not a whole lot of amps. but they're all working. They are usable amps. Not all the amps sound like what they are supposed to be. I kind of like the Fender amps. They are quite close, and that is one thing that a lot of units do not measure up. In this case, the Zoom, it does measure up. As far as Fender amps are concerned. So this is the back of the unit. You have the input where you plug in the guitar. Then you have an aux in where you can plug in your CDs and MP3 players. And these are the stereo output, in which the left serves as a mono. And then you have your headphones in. And this is your control jack where you can actually put in an additional expression pedal. USB to your computer. And this of course is a power switch. And then you have your power in. So there is a whole lot of videos about this unit, because the unit came out I think about 2 or 3 years ago. So there are a lot of videos in YouTube teaching you how to build a preset. Now it's basically very simple. Get the manual and read it. It's simple. I didn't even read the manual. I was just fooling around with it and trying to get a hang of it. And well, I managed to build a set of 4 presets without reading the manual. It comes in with, you can download the sort of an editor, that comes in with the unit, and it runs on Windows as well as Mac OS. And basically, the editor gives you a whole lot of other presets from other users, and you can actually download these presets into your unit, and you can either use them or build your own presets from that template, which is pretty neat. So basically, the editor just lets you save, let you update your firmware, and that's about it. The updating of firmware is relatively easy. All you need to do is just download the firmware, and get the updater. You can download the updater, and it's really simple. You just press the first 2 buttons, power on the unit, and it will automatically update the firmware. What I like about this GN series is that the way it's been set up, as well as the user interface of the editor in the computer system that you have, in whichever OS you're running, it's really user friendly. It's really easy to kind of like figure your way out. I find it very similar to the Helix platform, but then again, there are different parameters, certain parameters that you cannot go into, unlike the Helix, because you can actually go into your amp setting, the various bias and amps, of the amps, and sag, and all those little nerdy stuff that you want to go into. This is kind of basic, because on the unit itself, there are just so many parameters that you can adjust. Say for example, if you want to run if you want to run a compressor of it, there is just the normal compressor settings, nothing like knee and threshold. There are threshold, but it's not so elaborate as the ones in the Helix. That's what I'm trying to say. It's pretty basic. Now, when I first got the unit, when I first tried, I was like, wow, this didn't sound good, because I found out that a lot of the presets they have do not have amp simulators on. So basically, there is an amp simulator in it, there is a cabinet simulator in it, so you have to turn on the mic. You can have the amp and the cabs, but if you did not turn on the mic, it would sound really horrible. So remember to turn on the mic. It's not so in-depth like how the Ampero would be, where you can actually place a mic at which cone, at which placement of the mic in the area of the speaker cone. It's not so elaborate. This is kind of like really stripped down. But apart from that, I just found that the sounds are really usable. So much so that I think it has a little edge over the Ampero, because I find that the amp sound, the various stomp effects that they have. I'm talking about the basic ones. I'm talking about the compressors, the booster or distortion, as well as the time delay units. They have that the headroom. It gives the stomp effects a little bit more room to breathe. And I find that it's really important. I find that it's really important for that, because the Helix, you can have all the effects, going on at the same time because there's, the Helix has enough DSP power to power all these effects, but yet you have the headroom, so the effects comes out pretty strong, pretty clean, pretty neat. There is limitation in this unit, of course, but for its money, for its price, I'm going to put the price down below. It's a no-brainer, because if you want a multi-effect, a cheap or affordable multi-effects to carry on your gig, it's the one to get, because I think that it's really usable, and I'm so surprised that this is a Zoom. I know that Zoom has wonderful products, like for example the recorder, the microphone with 2 stereo microphones, and some of the cameras, and with inbuilt microphones and stuff like that. They came up with pretty nice products, but like I said, I wasn't too keen on their multi effects, and this one changed my mind totally. I find that it's really usable, really usable. It's user friendly. Nothing much I can say. It's just guitar player friendly. So, what are the cons? Some of the effects are, they leave a little bit to be desired. Like, for example, some of the distortion, the high gain amps, they can come out a little bit too saturated in certain sense. There's no headroom for the amp to breathe. But you can actually get away with the right mixture of cabs, of the cabinets that you're using. And if you can set the cabinets and the amp to work together nicely, you're gonna have a good sound, even with high gain setting. The only thing I wish that it has is IR implements, implementation where you can actually put your IRs in it, and that'll be so neat, like what they did for the Ampero. The unit is sturdy, I guess it's made of metal and some hard plastics. I don't think this is gonna break down anytime soon if you're gonna stomp on it every night, unless you're gonna jump on it. I think this unit is roadworthy. The only thing, you need to get a case for this, if you're gonna travel on the road. Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this really simple look into this GN5 from Zoom. It's not very concise, it's not very in-depth, just a rough review of how this unit is, and what sort of sound that it can generate. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, and if you want to join this channel, feel free to go ahead, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.